The house had been for sale for over 20 years. Perfect condition, low price, yet no one stayed longer than one night. What kind of house scares people away without ever touching them? The house stood alone at the edge of a quiet, unassuming town, a silhouette against the fading light. From the outside, it was picture perfect. A fresh coat of paint, a manicured lawn, windows that gleamed without a single crack. There were no warning signs, no overgrown vines, no boards nailed across the doors. It looked like a dream home waiting for its family. The real estate agent, a man with a smile that never quite reached his eyes, met the latest prospective beer at the gate. He gestured towards the front door with a practiced flourish. "People love it," he said, his voice smooth and reassuring. "They fall in love with the charm, the space, the history." He paused, his smile tightening just a fraction. "They just never stay." And then he named the price. It was unbelievable. A number so low it felt like a mistake, a typo on the listing. For a house this size, in this condition, it was more than just a bargain, it was a gift. Too good to ignore. The beer, a journalist named Alex, was intrigued not by the home itself, but by its story. 20 years on the market, he signed the papers that very day, convinced he was about to uncover a simple, logical explanation. Maybe a plumbing issue, or a noisy neighbor. He couldn't have been more wrong. The first night felt completely normal. The silence was peaceful, a welcome change from the city's constant hum. He explored every room, flashlight in hand, finding nothing but dust and the faint scent of old wood and fresh paint. He went to bed feeling satisfied, even a little smug. The mystery was already seeming like a dud. Until the sounds began. They weren't loud, not violent or aggressive. It started as a soft creak from the floorboards upstairs, the kind any old house makes. But then came another sound, a whisper-like scuff, like a slipper dragging across a wooden floor. Footsteps in the empty hallway. He held his breath, listening. The doorknob to his bedroom slowly, silently, turned. He watched, frozen, as the door eased open a few inches, then gently breathed shut again. He flew out of bed, heart pounding, and threw the door open to an empty hall. Nothing, no one. Just the suffocating stillness and the distinct, chilling feeling of being watched from corners where no shadows could possibly form. The house was awake. Every night that followed, the activity grew, but never in a way you could prove. It was subtle, psychological. Alex started documenting the changes. One morning, the armchair in the living room had been shifted, turned just a few degrees to face the hallway. The next, the old grandfather clock in the foyer, which hadn't worked for years, was stopped dead at 3:17 a.m. He'd startled at his own reflection in a window, convinced it moved a fraction of a second too late. He began mapping out the cold spots. One room, the small study at the back of the house, was always frigid, no matter how high he cranked the thermostat. The air in there was heavy, stagnant. The house never threw anything. It never slammed a door or screamed his name. It simply observed. It nudged the world around him, gently twisting reality until he started to question his own senses. It wasn't trying to scare him out. It felt like it was waiting for something. It was a patient, quiet haunting, and that was the most terrifying part of all. The house wasn't attacking, it was studying him. On the fourth night, sleep was impossible. Driven by a mix of fear and journalistic desperation, Alex decided to search the one room that felt wrongest, the cold study. He ran his hands along the walls, tapping, listening for anything hollow. Behind a heavy, built-in bookshelf, his knuckles hit a section of drywall that sounded different. He pried it open with a crowbar, revealing a dark, shallow space within the wall, and inside, he found it. It wasn't a skeleton or a hidden treasure. It was a list. Dozens of names, scratched into the plaster with what looked like a fingernail. Names of the previous owners, the ones who never stayed. Each name had a frantic, jagged line scratched through it. All of them, except one. At the very bottom of the list, freshly etched into the plaster, was a single, untouched name, his, Alex. A cold dread, far colder than the room itself, washed over him. He stumbled back, dropping his flashlight. He fled the house and spent the rest of the night in his car, parked a block away, watching the dark, silent windows. The next morning, he drove to the county records office, his hands still shaking. He needed a real explanation. What he found was far more disturbing. The official records showed something impossible. There were no police reports of violence, no missing persons cases linked to the address. The files showed that dozens of people had bought the property over the last 2 decades, but their stories all ended the same way. Clothes were still hanging in the closets. It was as if, one day, they just stood up and walked away, convinced they didn't belong to the world outside anymore. The house didn't kill them, it consumed their lives, convincing them that the only place they belonged was with it. Alex left before the sun had fully risen. He didn't even lock the door. He just got in his car and drove, not looking back. As he sped out of town, he could have sworn he saw the real estate agent in his rearview mirror, standing by the curb. By that evening, a friend who lived in the next town over sent him a picture. The sign was still there, but the agent's name and number had been painted over. And in its place, written in neat, block letters, was a new name on the sign. His name. Some houses don't want owners, they want witnesses. Subscribe for more true horror stories and unexplained places. The next story is waiting for you.